Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today, and we are discussing the problem with Mafia 3. As you all know, I've been covering this game for over a year now, and it recently just released. They held back review copies, they were very shady about it after constantly promoting the game and everything, so that was some red flags instantly raised, and since there was no embargo, there wasn't a date to have the review done by, I figured I'd really take my time with this game. Also, I had a few extra days off this weekend, so I decided to take some Matthew time, step away from the computer and the game system, because I think that's important from time to time, and I hope you understand why this video has been delayed until now. But nonetheless, I have completed Mafia 3, and I'd like to give you guys my full thoughts on what exactly the issue is, because I've seen a lot of positivity over this game. I've also seen a lot of overblown negativity, and I just want to put my finger on exactly what the issue with this game is, and it's really not a huge one, but this is the problem a lot of gamers are having. I want to start off by praising Mafia 3. This is a game that I feel is going to change storytelling for video games. It actually pushes boundaries. It pushes things forwards for video games, and that's really important. Racism is the center of Mafia 3, where you're going to hear the N-word flown around 1,000,001 times. You're going to hear white people talking about raping black women like it's a totally normal thing, like it's a pleasure thing. This game is really deep in racism. It makes the world more immersive. It makes it a much more invested story where you're really feeling for what exactly is happening. So kudos to Hangar 13 for not dumbing things down here, for not softening up on what is really impactful and effective storytelling that's going to push this industry forward. And that's why I say this game is worth playing regardless of what people are saying. But I do say you wait for a sale, because there are technical issues, but I don't think that's the main problem with the game, because me personally, I've been playing on PS4, and in my experience, I have not experienced a crash or really any bugs. But it's safe to say this game needs patching, and when it does get patching, I suggest you hop in, because this is a story that you should experience as a gamer. But now I'm talking positively in a video that's titled The Problem with Mafia 3. And the reason I'm doing that is because I wanted to let you know that this isn't some negatively fueled video. I am praising this game because I very much appreciate its storytelling. Its issues lie in the gameplay, and that's the issue that a lot of reviewers can't seem to put their fingers on. The biggest issue with Mafia 2 is it had a fantastic story in an open world where there was nothing to do. So the biggest request going into Mafia 3 was, please give us that same twisted, dark story that Mafia 2 offered, but with an open world with tons of things to do. And that's one of the biggest missteps of Mafia 3, is that there aren't really optional missions. There are where you can traffic weed or run hits on people, but compare that to the Radiant quests that Preston Garvey give you, and that's exactly what they are, just constantly running those. The main story offers, quote, optional objectives you can do, but all of them involve taking over rackets which are necessary to take over said district for the progression of the main story. So those optional objectives aren't optional, and that's where the game has its biggest issue, because it's forcing content upon you instead of progressing its story, and thus holding itself back from its biggest strength. Its mission system is inherently flawed, because what it is essentially a Ubisoft game, specifically Assassin's Creed, where you're gonna wiretap and you're gonna find yourself with tons of collectibles on the map and little objectives here and there that are really not too important. And that's the, quote, open world distraction. A lot of game reviewers always praise the open worlds for being full of distractions, and this game doesn't really have distractions. It's just driving from collectible to collectible, and when you're done with that, progressing into the main story, where you're usually killing someone, interrogating someone, stealing money from someone, destroying their objects to force out a gang leader, and then when you take him out or convince him to join your racket, from there you're gonna assign that racket to one of your underbosses, whether it's Vito, Cassandra, or Thomas Burke, and then rinse and repeat that same exact mission structure. What would have really benefited this game is if, yes, you had to take over a certain district for a story mission, but if they made those objectives in the world, such as interrogating someone or stealing their money, the side objectives, and just had a concurrent story that kept pushing forward when I chose to keep going forward, would have made this game so much better, because you get immersed in the storytelling, and it's not like when you're progressing but taking over the rackets that it's pulling you out of the storytelling, because it's still all interconnected, but it's very loose. It's not as important as what is exactly going on in the main narrative. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the main problem with Mafia 3, is its mission system. It has a fantastic story, an incredibly well realized open world, a wonderful soundtrack, but it is held back by its mission system. It's not awful, it's not terrible, like people are blowing out of proportion saying you need to skip the game over this because people are recommending Assassin's Creed left and right for years and years and years. It's just that this system is very average and very familiar. You will find enjoyment in it though. It didn't really hold me back from the enjoyment of the game because I found myself having fun due to the well-crafted open world where these areas were naturally built into the open world. We're seeing a bunch of boxes stacked up in a construction site that I was fighting in made sense. It wasn't like every area was crafted for a gunfight. It just felt naturally well built. So in my opinion, play Mafia 3 at some point down the line after a sale. This is a game that I think needs to be experienced with its technical issues and with its gameplay system that I think could be too hit and miss for people to enjoy. I'd say wait for a sale so you don't put $60 on a game that you're not going to get your full enjoyment out of. I hope this video answers some questions. If you guys have any more on Mafia 3, fire away in the comments down below. I'm more than happy to answer what you guys want to know. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. The links are as always in the description down below. Check out triggerbomb.com, the place by Bethesda fans for Bethesda fans. Other than that, stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.